When's the last time you and Michael talked?
It was right before the dream.
Wow, see, there's the answer. Well, when I was watching The Last Dance,
you got to give me that one, right? you got to give me that.
if you know, you know. And I said this to Kevin Durant, and I'm gonna say this to all of you sitting on the panel. And I said to Kevin Durant, hey, if you would have played back in our era, and they put you in the triple post at that mid post area, and they took Michael Jordan out, and you played with Pippen, and you played with Kukoc, and you got to run into the mid post, shit. Would he have won 6 championships? Absolutely. With Rodman and Pippen and Kukoc and BJ and Craig Hodges and all them around him, and he get the post up in the mid range, and that ball is, targeted to him every night, and he's getting up 25, 30 attempts. Yeah, he can do the same thing. The most amazing thing about Kevin Durant is, go back and, ask one of your research guys to pull this data. How many shot attempts does Durant have compared to the shot attempts that Jordan had to break the record?
We got to get a research group, first of all. That's going to be our number one thing we're going to take
KD's
care of.
definitely one of the most efficient scorers to ever play this game. So I can understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't think he's taking over 16, 17 shots a night. Very rarely is you see Kevin Durant taking 30 shots. He gives it to you, on 17, 18 shots.
That's real. Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of the Louis Sports Network. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Thursday afternoon. Before we get started, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure your post notifications are turned on. Make sure you're sharing on your social media platforms. Truly appreciate it. Hope everybody's having a wonderful time, enjoying their day. Excuse me, peace and blessings to everybody, man. Definitely appreciate y'all. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. And thank you to those who like, share, comment, and subscribe on the channel, man. I definitely appreciate y'all. Peace and blessings to everybody. Without you guys, there is no me. Now, let us get onto the video. So we know that Isaiah Thomas, the man is at it again, Mr. I Need Therapy, because he mentions that if Kevin Durant were to play in the 90s, and if you swap him for Michael Jordan on those Chicago Bulls teams, then yes, Kevin Durant would definitely win 6 NBA championships. And my thing is, Isaiah is just finding another way to disrespect and discredit Michael Jordan's 6 championship wins. And what he's basically doing is he's basically saying that, oh, Michael dominating the 90s, it was so easy that anybody could do it. Yeah, put Kevin Durant from this era. He could definitely win 6 championships with Scottie Pippen and Phil Jackson and Dennis Rodman and Tony Kukoc. Now, what people have to remember is that by the time that Dennis Rodman got to the Chicago Bulls, the Bulls had already won 3 NBA championships. And the biggest weakness of the Bulls in 95 was the size, and they lacked rebounding. That's why they struggled against the Orlando Magic in the 95 playoffs in the semifinals, and they lost in 6. Losing their key piece in Horace Grant to free agency, who signed with the Magic, who they beat in the playoffs. And once they got Rodman, it helped them with their rebounding and their defense. But a lot of fanboys are just like, oh man, if it wasn't for Dennis Rodman, they're acting like if Dennis Rodman was there for all 6 championships. And they're the same ones that say, well, the Pistons got old. Dennis Rodman got old in Detroit, but then he was in his prime when he got to the Chicago Bulls. Make it make sense, people. But getting back to Isaiah Thomas, because I don't want to get off too much off topic, but Isaiah Thomas is again taking shots at Michael Jordan because of how personal it is between him and Michael. And a lot of it has to do with Isaiah getting a gold medal for the Dream Team because of his opportunity that he lost in 1980. Obviously, he lost to Jordan in 84 when it was the college against the NBA players and Jordan had not played in a full NBA game. You look at the attention that Michael Jordan had got in the city of Chicago because Jordan is not even from Chicago, but Isaiah Thomas was born and raised in Chicago. And Michael Jordan pretty much became the legacy of Chicago by the time his career ended in Chicago in 1998. And it's burning Isaiah to this day. And it's not just a Dream Team. It's just he feels that he is not identified as Chicago because of what Michael Jordan laid in the foundation. And again, he disrespected Michael by basically saying if you replace him with Kevin Durant, he can win championships. I said, here's the difference between Jordan and Kevin Durant. They're two great all-time scorers. I said, but the problem is Jordan has leadership. And as Jordan told you in The Last Dance, leadership comes at a price. Kevin Durant says, I just want to hoop. Basically saying, I don't want to lead the team. I just want to score, get my buckets, be able to win, and go home. I don't want to lead. I don't want to deal with intangibles. I don't want to deal with the hard work. Kevin Durant is not a leader. I've been said that. Another issue was when Jordan was being pushed around for his lack of physicality because he was very skinny, Jordan built his body to be able to deal with the physical abuse that was the Detroit Pistons, especially because Jordan played in a more physical era. Kevin Durant physically isn't going to be able to deal with what some of these 90s teams were able to do physically during the 90s. Because Kevin Durant, if you looked at what happened with the 2013 Memphis Grizzlies, with Tony Allen and them, if you look at what happened to KD in Brooklyn with the 2022 Brooklyn Nets against the Boston Celtics, when they were allowed to play 90s type defense, Kevin Durant struggled. Kevin Durant can't deal with physicality. Do I think that Kevin Durant could win a couple of championships? It's a possibility. I feel like it's really going to depend on, obviously, matchups and depending on how physical teams can be with KD. But we saw what happened when Kevin Durant had to deal with physicality. He lost, and he lost convincingly. But you're going to sit here and tell me, oh, yeah, man, if you swap KD over for Michael Jordan, yeah, they win 6 championships. Easy. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Kevin Durant is a great player, but also Jordan is thinking about how to beat you. Jordan's mental game is on a whole nother level. With Kevin Durant, you can emotionally get to him. This is a player who, what was he going to do if you put him in the 90s, Isaiah? Think about it, because Kevin Durant goes back at fans through burner accounts. He wasn't going to be able to do that in the 90s. So what was he going to do? Was he going to lash out at fans? Was he going to be able to lash out at reporters? Was he going to lash out? How was Kevin Durant going to do that? Because Kevin Durant does it a lot through social media. See, was he going to do that? Was he going to do that during the 90s? How was he going to be able to deal with it? Because remember also, critics were more harsher in the 90s than they are today. That's a fact. Because they did real journalism back in the day compared to today. Today is all about narratives and clicks. And it's about chasing clout. That's what today's era is about. This whole thing where, oh yeah, you know, with social media today, man, it was much more I said the journalism back then, I don't think Kevin Durant would have been able to handle that. I think that would have been too much for him mentally. Kevin Durant is not mentally tough. Not compared to Michael Jordan, with what Jordan had to deal with back in the day. Another thing is also Jordan played defense in the 90s. Jordan made all defense teams in the 90s. Kevin Durant has played what? 18 seasons in the NBA, and he's never made an all-defensive team in the NBA. 18 years, and Kevin Durant has never been a great defender. Kevin Durant is not even a great rebounder. And it's like, oh man, he's a 7-foot walking gazelle. But Kevin Durant is one of the poorest rebounders at his height in his career in NBA history. In the no defense, no big man era, centerless era, Kevin Durant should be averaging easy 10 rebounds. Should be. At the very least 9. But it's like Kevin Durant is usually around that 6 to 7, sometimes 8. And that's really pathetic for a player of his size, considering that we're not really playing with big men like that, big men stretching the floor. That's why they want to go, oh man, this is the most skilled era of all time. But look at John Morant, look at Zion Williamson. They were supposed to be the next with this era, and they've gone to be. John Morant has had some good seasons, but he's ultimately been a failure because he want to be a gangster. Zion, he can never turn down any food that he didn't like. He treats food like side chicks. He sees them, he likes them, he ain't gonna turn it down. Point blank. And this is why I disrespect this era, because this era is not about competition. This era is not about passion. This era is not about wanting to compete, to really put a show for the fans, to really emphasize the importance of the regular season. Like, there's no importance. It's about, I'm going to play, I'm going to get my money. I could care less about the fans. I'm a low manage, and I'm going to call it a day. And if you don't like what I'm doing, whatever, that's your problem. Screw you. Like, you making it seem like if y'all lives are way more important than the fans who actually pay your salary to come see you play. The opportunity that they may not get to have for the rest of the season and maybe even for the rest of their lives. And you decide, and if you're healthy, you decide to go out there and I don't feel like playing tonight, so I'm not going to play. But the NBA players, they're human beings too. And all these rule changes, the 65-game rule, it's a gimmick, ladies and gentlemen. It's a gimmick. It's WWE. It was different in back then because they actually sold it as sports entertainment. They sold it like if it was an actual sport. Now you're forcing a WWE product, and it's failed because of the ratings show it. The sensitivity in this era is absolutely insane. But you're going to sit here and try to convince me that this era is way better than any other era ever, and you're sadly mistaken, but no. Look at the rules and look at the things that the players are allowed to do today that they weren't allowed to do back then. You can't even go as far as probably even 10, 11 years ago. So Kevin Durant in his second year in Golden State was already complaining about running a team system play to going one-on-one isolation in the way that KD loves to do. That lets you know that KD was already disregarding the system even in his second year in Golden State, because he had to be on his best behavior if he wanted to get a championship. And then once he got one, he thought he was bigger than the Golden State Warriors. He thought he was bigger than the team. And he allowed Draymond Green to force him to leave. He allowed which means you're mentally weak. That's why I don't think Kevin Durant is still going to be a great player in the 90s. But I feel like the physicality of the 90s are really going to hinder his numbers. Is Kevin Durant really going to work on? KD doesn't like to get strong and use big weights. That's why Kevin Durant doesn't like physicality. So Isaiah Thomas is just finding another reason to hate on Michael Jordan. We already know what it is. Isaiah Thomas can't let it go, no matter what. Isaiah Thomas, in my opinion, honestly really needs therapy. I've already said that it's fine if he doesn't like Michael Jordan. That's totally fine. But my issue is that you've got this conceited notion in your head that I'm going to mention Michael Jordan every single time because he's going to at some point respond to me. And it's like, Isaiah, you don't know Michael Jordan. For somebody who says that he has such high basketball IQ, you disrespect your own era to uplift LeBron James and KD and Steph, but yet you want to brag about how you beat Jordan and Bird and Magic and Kareem, and you're trying to put yourself on that table of those guys. It's like, Isaiah, you were a great point guard. You were a great player, one of the greatest point guards of all time, but you're not sitting at their level, man. You're not sitting at their level. If we do accolades, it's It's not a comparison. It's really not. Because one thing that Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Magic Johnson all have, they all have multiple MVPs. Multiple MVPs and multiple finals MVPs. So you could brag about how you beat all of them, but when it comes to accolades, it's like you're not on their level, Isaiah Thomas. So no matter how much you want to big yourself up, let's look at it this way too. When you beat Magic and Kareem, see, I'll give you credit for Larry Bird and Robert Parrish and Kevin McHale. I'll give you credit for that because Larry Bird was still in his prime. That was the tail end of his prime because that was his last prime, but I'll give you credit for that. And I'll give you credit for Michael Jordan too. But Magic Johnson and Kareem, see, because LeBron fanboys go, oh, well, you know, Kareem, they didn't have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Mind you, when Isaiah beat Kareem, he was 41 and 42 years old. So you're going to tell me that Isaiah Thomas was facing prime Kareem in 1988 and 1989, but Michael Jordan didn't face Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He didn't face Kareem. Kareem retired. Like, it, again, make it make sense, man. It just shows you y'all people don't watch basketball and y'all love that so-called king from Akron who left Cleveland twice. Like, use your common sense and use your brains, bro. That means if Michael Jordan would have faced Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he would have been 43, 44 years old. And if Jordan would have beat him with Magic and Kareem, you would have said, oh, the Lakers were old. So either way, it doesn't matter. The 90s was weak. He didn't face Kareem. And if he would have faced Kareem, Kareem was 43, 44. He was old. It don't matter. Dennis Rodman, he was old on the Detroit Pistons and Isaiah and Joe Dumars. But Dumars was 27. Isaiah and Rodman were both 30. And yet, when Dennis Rodman was 35 years old, all of us in 95, 96, all of a sudden, he was 34 actually. But anyway, it doesn't matter. All of a sudden, Dennis Rodman is in his prime. He led the league in rebounding when he was with the Chicago Bulls 3 straight years, but he also led the league in rebounding when he was a Detroit Piston too. Make it make sense, people. That's why Isaiah Thomas he needs help. He clearly needs help. This Jordan obsession is killing him. And The Last Dance, and that's like I said before, what Jordan said in The Last Dance, Isaiah took out of context, and all of a sudden, all it's done to him is it's burned a hole in him so much, he just feels the need to respond. It's like I said before, Isaiah is either going to have somebody ask him about Jordan, or he's just going to bring Jordan up because it makes him feel good. It gives him the reason to talk. It gives him a reason to vent. It allows him to deal with his insecurities on what Michael Jordan is to Chicago that Isaiah feels that he is not. That's the bottom line. So even if he made up with Magic Johnson, even if he was able to sit down with Larry Bird because of their Indiana history, because Larry Bird played for Indiana State and Isaiah Thomas played for Indiana University, the Hoosiers, with Coach Bobby Knight. My point is, and then also, you know, obviously the 40 Stitches situation he had with Karl Malone in the 92 season. The bottom line is that Isaiah Thomas created a reputation around the NBA that was forcing really nobody wanted to play with you. And you forget that when the committee did their selection, it was in 1991. It was just a few months after you walked out on Jordan and the Bulls in 91 in the Eastern Conference Finals. That was a bad look, Isaiah. The Boston Celtic excuse is pathetic because the Bulls shook your hand in defeat. Jordan all 3 times shook your hand in defeat. The Boston Celtic team happened in 88. Jordan beat you in 89. You beat Jordan in 89 and 90, and Jordan shook your hand. And then you lose in 91, and you're talking about something that happened 3 years ago. That's pathetic, Isaiah. That's an excuse, bro. So cut it out. So yeah, Kevin Durant in the 90s, no. He can win maybe probably 2 championships. I'll probably go 2. But to say 6, no. If it's that easy, anybody can do it. And the thing is, we'll never know. You're just doing hypotheticals because of your hate for Jordan, Isaiah. Cut the nonsense, man. Let it go, Isaiah. Let it go, man. It's not doing good for your health. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, and Jordan don't respond to you. That's the thing. Ladies and gentlemen, Liz, your boy Louis with another one. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Bless up, live, love, love. Thank you guys for watching.